You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. My name is Arya Whitner, and this is your next Friday report for Wednesday, March 8, 2017. Thank you for listening. NXT is out of full sail for the next few weeks, and we are in the University of Central Florida Arena, the UCF Arena. You might recall that they were here for about a month right after the 2016 Royal Rumble. It was actually the arena that Austin Aries debuted in. We kicked things off, we were scheduled to kick things off with a battle between the Perfect 10 Ty Dillinger and his hated rival, the former TNA World Heavyweight Champion Eric Young. EY sent Sanity to the back at their entrance, but before the bell rang, Sanity returned and dragged with them, a beaten Roderick Strong. Dillinger forgot about the match and went to tend to his friend while the rest of Sanity went to the ring. Dillinger was joined by No Way Jose to check on Strong. A whole bunch of referees came out to help Strong to the back while Eric Young stood in the ring and screamed that Dillinger did this. Dillinger and Jose looked at each other and they had enough. They went to the ring and took out all of Sanity by themselves until the numbers game finally did them in. Killian Dane and Alexander Wolf laid out Jose with their double team move, and Young laid out Dillinger with the wheelbarrow neckbreaker. Earlier today, Billy Kay and Peyton Royce did a fan cam video where they were all over the WWE Performance Center looking for the perfect place to put their award for Breakout Star of the Year. They walked by the trophy for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic and stated that they should have some sort of a display that was similar to that. While they were doing all this, they could see Ember Moon working out through the glass. And so they talked crap about Ember until Ember left the weight room area and tried to go after them, in which case Peyton and Billy ran away. We had a video package for a debuting wrestler. Not sure who it was, but he was surrounded by candles, and his final line was fade to black. Ho-Ho Loon of the Cruiserweight Classic returned for 2 minutes, and he got to lose to Andrade Cien Almas, the only wrestler in NXT with pyro. Loon's sole chance of winning was 10 seconds of the match. As the fans were chanting for him, Almas was distracted by this act of defiance by the fans for not cheering for him, and he almost got rolled up and pinned. Other than that, this match was all Almas, and he won with the hammerlock DDT. Ember Moon versus Billy Kay, set up through the shenanigans from earlier today with Billy and Peyton, as I described earlier. And this will go a long way in naming a new top contender to Asuka. Hint, 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 hint. Ember was on fire early and probably would have won even quicker than she did, but Peyton ran a distraction which allowed Billy to take over. Billy hit Eat Defeat, but Ember kicked out. Ember made her comeback, and not even Peyton could stop her as she hit the Eclipse for the dominant win. Peyton had climbed onto the apron, but it got back down when Ember threatened to punch her in the face. After the match, Peyton pouted. Excuse me while I go console her. When I came back from consoling Peyton, Billy was still selling a neck injury down in the ring and needed help from the officials and whatnot to get to the back. And the fans gave her an ovation. Now, I don't know how legit this is. Her injury, it's possible this is going to be a storyline. Maybe they try to ban the Eclipse, saying that it's too violent. Nigel McGuinness was putting it over, saying that when Ember was practicing it at the Performance Center, she injured 2 different girls with that move. So we'll see what happens from there. Maybe it's just one of those things that, she landed weirdly. TJ Perkins was backstage and said that he goes where the competition is, and he's looking forward to facing Shinsuke Nakamura tonight, mentioning that they trained together in Japan. The Revival, the only two-time NXT Tag Team Champions, are out next to go 2-on-2 with the Ely Brothers, who you might recall were twin brothers named Gabriel and Muriel, who appeared on one NXT show like 6 months ago. I could swear they lost to the Revival then as well. But this time they were fired up. They were ready. This was their night. They were going to go in and give the Revival what's what. And when they got to the ring, the Authors of Pain ran in and beat the holy crap out of them. The Revival, who, if you recall last week, the Revival laid out both DIY and the Authors of Pain during the tag team title match main event. The Revival ran away, and the Authors of Pain laid out one of the Ely Brothers with the last chapter. By the way, whatever happened to Dan Mesa? You might recall he was the big, muscled-up guy, looked like Kurt Hawkins on steroids, that they did promo videos for weeks, and literally they did all these promo videos just to lead to him getting beat up by Samoa Joe one week, and that was it. And that was, I think, September. So, still waiting for the return of Dan Mesa. Not sure if that'll happen before or after the makeover from Emelina to Emma, but I guess we'll see. Backstage, William Regal informed Ember Moon that at NXT TakeOver Orlando, we will finally get the match that's at least 6-7 months in the making, Asuka versus Ember Moon for the NXT Women's Championship. Next week, Bobby Roode defends the NXT Championship against Cassius Ohno, and to prepare us for that encounter, we got pre-taped promos from both men. Ohno was sitting in the Performance Center talking about how weird it was and how different it is being back here after 4 years. He noted that when he was here, the WWE Performance Center was just a giant warehouse. Ohno mentioned that wrestling was the first thing he was good at and the first thing he excelled at. The Performance Center was the first place he ever had doubt. He's never been NXT champion, and his doubt will never be put to rest until he is champion, and said that it would be sweet to win the title and to defend it in the main event at NXT TakeOver Orlando. Bobby Roode's promo was cut via satellite from his home. He said he does not care about Cassius Ohno or what he has to say. He said he's here to mold NXT into his own vision, but Ohno was trying to ruin that. Roode wants to shape NXT into the way he sees fit and doesn't want the NXT champion to be a long-haired hippie hobo freak from the 70s. The future of NXT is on Roode's shoulders, and he'll be damned if Ohno comes in and ruins it. I want to point out that both men put over how important it would be to go into TakeOver Orlando, the biggest takeover of the year, as champion. So that was nice. Main event time. TJ Perkins returns to NXT for the first time since Orlando. I think it's only the second time he's ever wrestled on NXT. The other time was during the Dusty Rhodes Classic. I think he teamed with Kota Ibushi during the tournament. Anyway, he came in to have a pretty darn good match here with the former two-time NXT champion Shinsuke Nakamura. Perkins, neither man was a heel, obviously, but of the two of them, Perkins worked more heel-ish. But this was a pure babyface match. Nakamura was on a roll 7 minutes into the match until he appeared to re-injure his knee. The fans didn't seem to quite understand it. Perhaps they weren't following the storyline. But it was all right because Nakamura shook it off and continued. Perkins used a springboard dropkick over the top rope and a springboard DDT into the ring, which led to a 2 count. Nakamura went for an armbar, but Perkins fought it, so it was turned into a triangle choke but Perkins rolled over the top of that to get a near fall. We had a small group of fans cheering for TJ, which led to a louder group of fans chanting for Nakamura. Perkins worked on the knee and put on a sharpshooter, but Nakamura got out of that. Perkins got on the knee bar, but Nakamura made it to the ropes. Shinsuke made his comeback, used the exploder, and a Kinshasa to pick up the win in another really good NXT main event, which by my count makes 4 really good NXT main events in a row. And, I could be wrong, and hopefully I'm not proved wrong next week, but I'm going to bet next week's going to be a 5th straight good main event. But until that glorious day, I'm Arya Whitner. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days.
You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.